Tonight on the Vince Dao Show, we will be monitoring the ever-changing Donald Trump indictment situation. We'll give you the updates there. But in the meantime, while the world braces for the impact of that, I will be giving you my breakdown of the Mike Pence campaign so far. That'll be a bit interesting. Also, Ron DeSantis finally now really responding to Donald Trump's comments. Again, the 2024 race is heating up. We're going to be talking about it quite a bit tonight. You don't want to miss it. And for our woke quote-unquote segment of the night, this progressive Christian preacher quote-unquote claims that drag queens are holy. That's all coming up tonight on the Vince Dao Show. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Jam-packed show coming up for you guys. And we are live tonight from the great state of Florida. Welcome everybody to the Vince Dao Show. I am your host, Vince Dao. And before we begin, everyone be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And let me know how your day has been going, ladies and gentlemen. We do this show live every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to join us today, tomorrow, and the rest of the week and every single week because we are live here, okay? Let's see. We're at 19 likes. What are we doing, chat? 50 likes. I want to see 50 likes in the next few minutes here. 19 likes. Come on. You guys, we all know we can do better. All right. Now, while we wait for people to pour in, let me say hi to some of our regulars in chat. What's up? Dollar for Dollar, Zeb. We got Dick Cheney in chat. But his profile picture is Liz Cheney. So I think there was a sex change that went on. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We got a great show for you guys. Now, before we begin, if you want to support the show or if you have a question or comment that you want to be read and answered, feel free to support by sending in a super chat. I will be checking super chats periodically in between most of our segments. And then we will, of course, as usual, be doing our super chat / Q&A portion at the end of tonight's show. So again, if you want to support, consider sending in a super chat. Okay, before I start tonight, folks, let me check the time. What time is it? It is the hour of Dow. Let's let the Vinsanity begin, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into our show tonight. Well, before we get into the meat of most of these stories, I know on this channel we talk quite a bit about like seed oils and microplastics and all of the fake plastic crap that the FDA is putting in our food. You wonder why Americans have so many health problems, so much cancer, so much heart disease, so much infertility. It's not just because we eat too much, it's because of the stuff that's in all of our, food and whatnot. Well, I have been reached out to by this patriotic company who's basically trying to set up like a supply chain for home and food products that isn't made by people who hate us, and more importantly is more natural than all of this like synthetic seed oil garbage. They're also partnered with a ranch for like grass-fed organic beef, which I'm interested in. I'm sure a lot of you guys are too. Well, anyways, long story short, this company is called Patriot Switch, and they're looking for new customers. And for anyone out there who's interested maybe in making some money, they're also looking for affiliate marketers. So especially if you're a young guy out there, high school, college, you want to make some passive income on the side and help this cause of natural ingredients and natural food, or you're just someone who wants this for your family, older person, we are doing a Zoom call this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern time with more information. I will be in that Zoom call, so you can say hi to me. But yeah, the link in the description for that call is down below. Again, Zoom call at 2 p.m. Eastern time this Saturday. They'll be letting you know more information. Okay, so check them out, Patriot Switch. All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the news tonight. So there's not a lot of new news on the Trump indictment front, other than the fact that we may be getting a decision from the grand jury tomorrow. In fact, it seems from what I've heard in the last few hours, this is absolutely the case. So the Donald Trump indictment, more likely than not, dropping tomorrow. We've been over this a million times. I don't need to tell you the whole story, but I'm sure tomorrow night, tune in because that's going to be a chaotic show to say the least. But I do want to say this because it's important. Okay, so listen up, guys. If you do choose to protest, whether that's tonight or tomorrow, just be smart. Okay, be smart, use your head. And honestly, I'd probably discourage you in general from protesting, not because I'm saying like never go out and do anything in real life. It's just that the situation, you know, I don't want to be liable as the guy who told you to do that. But I'm not going to tell you 100% because yes, it is your First Amendment right to go out there and peacefully and lawfully protest. What I'm saying more so is you need to be smart. Okay, guys, very smart. All right, don't be violent, don't break the law, don't do anything that could even be perceived as breaking the law, okay? So, you know, if the cops say it's okay to go in a building and you feel like it's not, use your head, don't go in, okay? Because like I said, this is a situation that in many ways is making Democrats look very corrupt and bad and Trump look good, right? Trump is becoming a martyr in this situation. We don't need to flip that back on them, right? We don't need to hand them a victory. We don't need to give them anything to allow them to flip the script. So all I'm saying is the system is running out of ammo here. Do not be the reason why the system now has more ammo, okay? Be careful. Don't be a Ray Epps if you choose to do this. Don't be a Ray Epps. Look out for any potential Ray Eppses because it's not a matter of if. There will be infiltrators in these types of events. Whether that's Antifa, left-wing people, or feds, whatever it is, you name it. We saw what happened last time. You need to be alert and you need to be very aware of this stuff, okay? So be smart. Use your head. That's how we will win back the country. Is people who are smart and use their head, not by impulsive, emotionally driven nonsense that ends up boomeranging against us, okay? So be smart, guys. I know some people are going to think they're going to start the new 1776. No, you're not. You're just being stupid, okay, buddy? All you're going to do is get yourself and a bunch of other people in trouble and make life harder on everyone who was peaceful and patriotic because you couldn't control yourself, okay? Can you guys understand that, guys? The feds want you to play into their hands, okay? And you're not watering the tree of liberty. You're not starting a new American revolution by whatever you think you're going to do. All you're doing is playing into a federal psyop. That's not patriotic or virtuous. In fact, I would argue that's actually incredibly selfish to go do something incredibly stupid that does not help the situation, but instead just causes the persecution, not just of yourself, but of a lot of other patriots who get caught up in the narrative, okay? Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want to hear about any MAGA person doing something stupid because the feds baited them into it. You know better. You should know better after you know what, okay? Impulsive actions will not save the country. I know you're angry. I'm angry too. But losing your head does not go well. Losing your cool does not go well. It doesn't go well in life. It doesn't go well for soldiers on the battlefield in a real war, okay? Who's the first soldier to get killed in a real war? Just as an analogy here. It's the one who loses their head, that can't keep their cool, okay? Don't be that person. Think rationally. Use your head, okay? Anyways, that's all I want to say on the Trump indictment front. Don't be stupid. That's all I'm going to say. Be smart, okay? We'll have plenty to say about this tomorrow. Because I'm sure that's going to be quite a sight to witness. So be sure to tune into tomorrow's show. But all right, while we wait around to find out and see what happens with this rumored indictment, let's shift gears and talk about some other players in the 2024 Republican field. I was going to talk about Mike Pence tonight, but we actually have a breaking news alert. This as of 5 p.m. Eastern time today. We interrupt our regularly scheduled broadcast to bring you this. Ron DeSantis has finally directly responded to Trump and given a more clear answer on his 2024 prospects in today's interview with Piers Morgan that dropped, like I said, just a few hours ago. We did not have time to watch the full interview before tonight's show, but I do have a few excerpts here from the New York Post op-ed from Piers Morgan about the interview. So we're going to go over it a little bit, give you some of the information here. Again, this is breaking news. Ron DeSantis now is responding to Trump and being a lot less coy about 2024. So, all right, check this out. Notably, when asked about his 2024 prospects, he said, quoting from the article here, "Stay tuned about his widely expected announcement that's coming for president." And he declared, "I have what it takes and I can beat Biden." Okay? So that's as obvious of a yes answer as it gets, folks. And maybe Pierce is taking that a little bit out of context, but according to this article, it seems to be a pretty surefire thing. And as I've been trying to tell some of you guys for months, this is basically a guaranteed thing, right? I've been saying it, Ron DeSantis, before the midterms, I was saying it, Ron DeSantis is going to run for president. Some people didn't believe me. They're like, no, he's not. Well, I've been trying to tell you this, okay? Why? Because I see what's going on externally. I hear what's going on internally. It seems pretty obvious. But here he is saying, stay tuned. So that's not a no answer at this point. And now he's saying he has what it takes to be president. He can beat Biden. I think that's the closest you can get to not a yes. That's not a 100% yes outright. And still, some people don't want to believe it. But to me, that seems very clear. Ron DeSantis is running for president, as we all expected. But continuing from the article here, this is Piers Morgan writing, DeSantis slammed Trump over his character failings, chaotic leadership style, and for his handling of the COVID pandemic, especially in keeping controversial health chief Dr. Anthony Fauci in his post to run the White House coronavirus task force. Trump even awarded him a presidential commendation medal to Fauci in one of his last acts as president, which I don't even remember that happening, but I don't have much of an excuse for that. That's pretty cringe on Trump's part. But we continue here. When I asked DeSantis to cite specific differences between him and Trump, he said, well, there's a few things. The approach to COVID was different. He says, Ron DeSantis says, I would have fired someone like Fauci. I think he got way too big for his britches. I think he did a lot of damage. Now, when it comes to the campaign, this is going to be a very effective attack line for Ron, right? Because it's basically the criticism of Trump that the entire base has for him, which is the Fauci stuff. Should Trump have fired Fauci? Yes, absolutely. Would Ron DeSantis have done it? Now, it's easy for Ron DeSantis to say yes because, hindsight's 2020. He wasn't there. He could basically say whatever he wants. I'm not sure of that, though. I will say in defense of Trump, I'm not sure about that because people look back now and say, yeah, easily, Trump should have fired Fauci. And obviously, he should have done that day one. But if you'll remember back then, during 2020, Fauci was not the disgraced public figure he is now that nobody likes and even got driven out of the Biden administration. Back then, Fauci had like an 80% approval rating going into that election cycle. So, that's going to be something Ron DeSantis comes out with and says a lot. I'm sure a lot of people are going to buy it, and that's probably going to be a good attack line for Ron. Me, personally, I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical of whether a President Ron DeSantis in 2020 would have actually fired Fauci, but that's up to interpretation. Okay, maybe he would have. I mean, I have seen him fire some woke prosecutors in Florida, and he hasn't been very coy about that, but that's also at the local level. So I don't know, but that's definitely going to be a attack line. We're seeing him use that. And we continue reading here, reading from the article. DeSantis also slammed Trump's chaotic, self-obsessed, and divisive management style, saying, I also think just in terms of my approach to leadership, I get the personnel in government who have the agenda of the people and share our agenda. And so basically, Ron DeSantis is attacking Trump here for his personnel and staffing decisions, okay? You bring in our own agenda or you're gone. We're just not going to have that. So the way we run government, I think there is no daily drama. Focus on the big picture and put points on the board, and I think that's very important. So here's Ron DeSantis attacking Trump for his staffing decisions and staffing the administration with people who did not agree with the agenda. Now, again, this is another attack line on Trump for Ron that is going to be politically and rhetorically effective. But I would say in fairness, so that's me analyzing it. Me personally, do I believe that? Not necessarily, because I would say in fairness that there's a lot of people backing Ron DeSantis who I'm a little bit suspicious of. And when you look at like the National Review and a lot of the anti-Trump neocons that are backing DeSantis, not even saying DeSantis is a neocon himself, but if they're all funding his campaign, what's going to happen the day that DeSantis is, let's say he wins and he's inaugurated? What's going to happen January 21st, 2025 when he's asked to staff his cabinet? Who's going to come calling for favors? National Review, Club for Growth, all these entities. And so, like I said, I'd be a little bit suspicious. That's my take. But I do think, yes, it's a genuine criticism of Trump that everyone has. Why'd you hire these people? It is going to be something that Ron DeSantis is going to be able to run with effectively on the campaign trail. What's interesting about some of these responses is that you see Ron DeSantis attacking Donald Trump from the right? He's running as like the more right-wing guy than Trump, which I thought he was going to run on, but this seems to be the strategy for the campaign. We finish up the article here We have Ron attacking Trump's personal character. The message was clear, reading from the article now. I'm nothing like Trump when it comes to sleazy behavior. And then he said this, which was interesting. He said, at the end of the day, as a leader, you really want to look up to people like our founding fathers. He's kind of talking about the Stormy Daniels stuff here. You want to look up to people like our founding fathers. It's not saying that you don't ever make a mistake in your personal life, but what type of character are you bringing? So somebody who really set the standard is George Washington, because he always put the republic over his personal interests. When we won the American Revolution, Washington surrendered his sword, blah, blah, blah. I think the person is more about how you handle your public duties and the kind of character you bring. So that's interesting. Ron DeSantis kind of attacking Trump on the character sort of morality front. Compares... I guess he doesn't compare himself to George Washington, but brings up George Washington. I don't know. I don't really care. You know, it is what it is. They attack each other personally. As a primary voter, I want to know what each candidate is going to do in office, because each one can, like, moralize over the other. Both have skeletons in their closet. That's, like, a known fact. Who really cares? To me as a voter, I don't know. But anyways, those are the highlights from the Ron DeSantis interview on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. I'm sure we'll have more coverage of this tomorrow when the interview, I think, actually like goes out fully publicly, and we'll actually have some time to watch it. But yeah, there you go. There you have Ron DeSantis now finally like speaking back to Donald Trump directly. A pretty clear sign to me, again, that he is running for president. We're starting to see the shells of the attack lines he's going to use. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat right now. Let me know. Do you think that these are effective attack lines? Do you buy them personally? Etc., etc. But there you have it. All right, well, on with our regularly scheduled show here before we got interrupted by a lot of like just different types of breaking news today. I was originally tonight going to talk about Mike Pence, which we will still do here tonight, and then I'll check some super chats. We'll do the last segment, and then we'll do super chats again. But take sip of water, paper pop here. So Mike Pence seems to be doing a great job of literally being the single most unlikable guy in the Republican field, which is saying a lot, in my opinion. We all remember what happened back then when Trump was president, of course. And most people at that moment labeled him a traitor. They were done with Pence, etc. But I do remember there was a large subset of the MAGA base who said at the time, actually, Mike Pence is a good guy. He's really on our side. He just didn't have the constitutional authority to do what Trump wanted, blah, blah, blah. Well, the past 2 years, Mike Pence has truly, and I mean this sincerely, he's truly been doing everything in his power to prove that he actually is one of the biggest losers in all of Republican politics. And he's also showing that he wants to associate with all of the biggest losers in Republican politics. Of course, the appeal that Mike Pence is selling to people is that he is like the true and principled conservative, right? So he's the one that's not privy to the whims of Trumpian populism, and he represents the real conservatives. So, okay, so you're the real principled conservative, right, Mr. I'm not a Trumpist. But you know, I'm the real conservative. You guys are falling whims to populism. Well, it seems that Mr. Principled Conservative has found a new political ally in former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. And last week I saw this. They took the most awkward photo of all time. So check this out, okay? So that is a real photograph that Larry Hogan himself posted on Twitter. So we zoomed in here so you can see what I'm talking about. Look at this photo. And then let me zoom out so you can see the full body language here, so you can see how awkward that is. And then take a look at this. Chat. Why would you post this photo? This is one of the worst pictures I think has ever been taken, okay? Mike Pence, he looks high. The dude looks faded off his mind. Larry Hogan isn't much better. I mean, what's going on here? He looks like a woodchuck, okay? That's a meme face right there, too. Who told them that this was a good picture? What made them think, oh, let's post this? I mean, come on. And you're probably thinking, no, this is a leaked photograph. Is this an awkward double take? No, again, Larry Hogan posted this photograph and said, it was great catching up with Mike Pence at our event. He is a man of integrity. All right? So this is the clown car that they think has a shot to be the Republican nominee. Absolutely unreal. But anyways, stupid pictures aside, there is a lot of substance about Mike Pence and his campaign communicated by this photograph, because it shows that this is who Mike Pence wants to appeal to, okay? Larry Hogan, again, former governor of Maryland. He's a Republican. Shocker. I don't know if anyone even knows that. He is the definition of a Republican in name only. Okay, his politics are totally indistinguishable from that of a Democrat's, hence why he was elected in a D+30 state, which maybe you could say, oh, well, that's practical, whatever, but still, okay, Mike Pence is running a national campaign off of the alleged premise that he is a conservative, and he's associating with Larry Hogan. There is not one piece of Larry Hogan's gubernatorial record, and we checked, besides maybe being somewhat anti-teachers union and pro-charter school, which is, yeah, nowadays a mostly conservative position, but even then there are pro-charter Democrats out there. That's not even really much that we can point to and label as conservative. If you'll remember 2020 and the lockdowns, Larry Hogan's COVID response was completely indistinguishable from that of, Gavin Newsom or Andrew Cuomo. The guy's a liberal. I don't know what else to say about it. The guy is a liberal. And this is who Mike Pence, let's keep it on the screen. And this is who Mike Pence wants to do photo ops with. Lockdown Larry. That says a lot about your 2024 campaign, Mr. Pence. And on the real issues, actually, let's say it this way. This photo op right here sums up basically the potential platform of a Mike Pence 2024 campaign. Look at his face. What do you see there? Old, sleepy, tired, and downright pretentious. That basically is the Mike Pence platform, because if you'll remember, as we covered on last week's show, when Tucker Carlson sent out that questionnaire regarding the war in Ukraine, they asked every Republican candidate. And we remember, if you remember that show, Mike Pence was the only Republican candidate to really go out there and say, yep, the war is our business 100%. Yep, we do need to send more money to Ukraine. We do need to fight this proxy war 100%. A lot of other Republican candidates were coy about it. They kind of gave politician answers, or some even gave more like isolationist answers. Mike Pence straight up said, this is our war, this is our fight, okay? And if you'll remember, his reason for doing so was the Reagan doctrine. Okay, that's what he said. The guy cited Ronald Reagan in his response regarding Ukraine. Ronald Reagan, a Cold War president from 40 years ago, that's the model of Mike Pence's foreign policy. Contrast that with the news you saw today of Putin and Xi, if you saw this, having a historic meeting in Moscow, and this is what we're doing. So while we see the active failures of isolating Russia and that driving Putin right into China's arms, instead of realizing that and admitting, hey, the U.S. maybe has made a mistake these last few decades by not trying to pull Russia away from China, instead driving them right into our arms, Mike Pence doubles down on these tired old neocon cliches. What's most insulting, though, all right, here's where we really go in on neoconservatism. What's most insulting is that Mike Pence does not even seem to understand the Reagan doctrine and the Cold War mindset that he holds so near and dear. And neither do any of the neocons who use Reagan as a justification for their reckless ideas. Because let it be said, the Cold War was about stopping the spread of communism, not building a global American empire for democracy. It was a very particular crusade to stop the spread of a particular idea around the world. That's what the Cold War was. And in fairness, perhaps to the Cold Warriors, it is true that that specific idea is still spreading around the world. Sure, long after the fall of the Soviet Union, because yes, Marxism is a cancer. It is not confined by borders or nations, and therefore it is true in many ways we still are fighting the Cold War. The Cold War never ended. Our civilization fundamentally still is at war with Marxism. The problem is that neoconservatives like Mike Pence and George Bush don't understand the enemy that they think they're fighting. They believe the enemy lies in Moscow or Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever they're fighting. But once again, as I reiterate, and this is why Mike Pence and the sort of neo-Reaganites who claim to be Reaganites don't even understand what they're really saying. Marxism is not confined to this nations or governments or this sort of axis of power in terms of like worldwide influence. It is an idea. And it is an idea that has been infiltrating and subverting the United States from within for decades. Cultural Marxism, not the CCP, hot take maybe. Cultural Marxism is the single greatest threat to American civilization. Not Russia, not even China. It is the domestic enemy of Marxism, leftism, and otherwise satanic ideas that we are really up against. In many ways, one could argue that yes, the culture war that we fight today is a continuation of the Cold War itself. Because again, Marxism is not just about borders and nations and governments. It is true. So whereas before we were fighting over nations, now we are fighting over institutions, culture, influence, you name it, from within. Whereas before the predominant theory was domino theory, right? The idea that if one nation falls to communism, all the other nations are going to fall to communism. Well, we can make that analogy today to the slippery slope, right? The idea that if leftism intrudes one aspect of American life, it's going to be a slippery slope to everything else. This is the same thing. We're still doing the same thing after all these years. The problem with people like Mike Pence and with neoconservatives is that their mindset, stuck in the 1980s, will not adapt to the Cold War that's actually going on in the 2020s. Any real Cold Warrior or anti-communist or like Reaganite, whatever, should recognize that the struggle against Marxism abroad ended decades ago, okay? December 26, 1991 was about done. The true battle now is from within. So I say this to Mike Pence and to the neoconservatives. It is time that the Cold Warriors of the 1980s stop trying to conquer the world over some vain crusade of democracy and start bringing that mindset home to our civilization. We have a war against Marxism to fight here, but instead they refuse to do this. Instead, they continue to ramble incoherently about why we need to protect democracy around the world while associating with social liberals like Larry Hogan. How does that help the actual war against the real enemy? If your campaign is gonna be, surrounded by people like Larry Hogan, who are social liberals that I guess like charter schools or something. It is incredibly frustrating and incredibly tiring, but the good news is that losers like Mike Pence will go nowhere in the Republican primary, and everyone knows that. Everyone knows they will go nowhere because they present no forward vision for America. They simply cling to cliches of men who died decades ago. They provide no real solution or vision for the 21st century. This is how businesses die. This is how movements die. Parties, you name it. They don't die because they compromise their morals or whatever. Sometimes they do. But very often they die because they cannot strategically adapt to the changing times and to change itself. And that's what you see with people like Mike Pence, who still sleepily and as tired and boring after all these years are still rambling on about Ronald Reagan and worldwide democracy. It's not 2002. It's not 1985. Okay? And that's why Mike Pence, I've already 100% decided, I'm sure many of you too, you will not get my vote in the Republican primary. It's not happening. You're not going to win. You're not going to go anywhere. Also, you got felted by Borat. Are we remembering this too? Okay? You, Mike Pence, the guy who got trolled by Borat at CPAC, come on, man. How do you get pranked by Borat? Unbelievable. All right. Anyways, before we continue into our cultural segment here, let me go and check out the super chats of the last few stories here. Let's go and check this out, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll probably do this for a few minutes. So if you got super chats you want to send in, feel free to send them in now. Zachary for $5 says, it's official. I just got a job as a road maintenance worker. Well, congratulations. Thank you for the $5, Zachary. I know you've been looking for a job for the last few weeks here. So congratulations. Glad to hear that you got one. And very cool. Very cool. Now you're bringing in the money. And it's a blue-collar job. It's a blue-collar job. Respect. Real man. We got 84 likes. Let's get to 100 likes right now in the chat. Let's see what else we got here. Burgundy Blue for $2 says, Vince, what are your thoughts on global warming? It's funny you should ask, Burgundy Blue, because I actually have a segment about Greta Thunberg planned sometime this week. But, you know, I think we understand. It's not anything, first of all, humans have control of. And second of all, we all know it's an obvious pretext for a power grab to, you know, push really just a diminished quality of life on everyone. Oh, 15-minute cities. Oh, climate lockdowns. Live in the pod. Don't drive cool cars. It really is just, I think, in many ways, a demoralization tactic, right? That's what living in the pods, that's what not being able to drive cars, that's part of what it's about, is demoralizing and kind of demeaning people, diminishing their quality of life to the point where everything just sucks, and you're not independent or strong enough of a dude or whatever to be able to push back. And that's obviously the pretext behind the global warming agenda. Thank you very much for the $2. Burgundy Blue for another $2 says, Vince, what is the future of the MAGA movement after Donald Trump? Well, let's figure that out as we go. I can't tell you the future. I can't read into the future. All right. I mean, it's going to be a matter of who steps up. It's really useless to debate these questions right now as who's going to be running the party in like 28, 20 or 32 or whatever. That remains to be seen on that time. And I think that's the way we ought to look at it. It's like irrelevant right now. Zeb for $10, thank you very much, says, we have a few years before Donald Trump is gone. A lot is going to change between now and then. You'll have more people like him run for office. For example, Vivek, meaning they can't be bought. Zeb, you probably did not make the Ron DeSantis people in chat happy with that, but it is true. Thank you very much for the $10, Zeb. All right. Well, we will probably continue now into the last story of the night, and then we'll do super chats and call it a night here. So, if you don't like the politics stuff, which is strange because you're subscribed to a political channel, and whenever I talk about like the actual 2024 race or politics, people are just not that interested. I don't know what it is. Do you guys just want me to roast like libs and woke people all day? Is that what we got to do? If that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. Okay, that's why I've been like not talking as much about politics recently and more about like cultural stuff like we're about to do, because it's like, for some reason, I actually enjoy talking about politics. I'm a political guy first and foremost, but I do the cultural stuff obviously too, but people just don't care. It's very interesting. But all right, final story of the night here, ladies and gentlemen. We have our Wokey of the day for you. Should we make that a thing? I feel like every time we react to these liberal TikToks or articles or whatever, we need to give the segment a name. I don't know what to name it, though. I don't like the term Wokey of the day. That sounds so generic. I want to use the term like a libtard of the day, but will I get in trouble for that? Will I get in trouble? Am I not supposed to say that? Can I not make an official segment just called libtard of the day? Because I feel like that's actually funny, but I don't know. Brandon voter of the day? NPC of the day? I don't know. Give me some suggestions. We need to give this a name. But anyways, we got a religious one for you today. So this progressive Christian preacher claims that drag is holy. So we have a self-proclaimed Christian teacher claiming that it is biblically holy and tolerated for a man to dress up as a woman. Let's play the clip.
Drag is holy. There has been an assault on the rights of drag performers in this country, and we must call out the hypocrisy and the injustice. Jesus called himself a mother hen longing to gather up her chicks. Gender is a construct, you see. And if Jesus can be a mother hen, then you can dress in drag. I've even heard it said that Jesus was, and humanity is, God in drag. So let me say this again for those of you in the back. Drag is holy.
So I have to be honest. This is one of the worst progressive Christian videos I've ever seen. The logical leaps too. Like the guy's long jumping out here, okay, ladies and gentlemen, because sometimes these progressive Christians actually do a good job of twisting scripture, and then you have to look into it, research it, and they actually bring some degree of evidence or argument or whatever. You have to actually work to debunk it. This one is just bad. I think a non-Christian could actually debunk this. It's that easy. Okay, so first of all, when Jesus says the thing about the mother hen, okay, this is from Luke 13:34. I have it on the screen. The verse says, we'll read it first. How often would I have gathered your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing? Okay. I think it's pretty clear here, but this is called an analogy, and a pretty obvious one at that. Okay? So first of all, Jesus is not calling himself a mother hen. He says, as a mother hen, like a mother hen. It's an analogy. Analogies are not literal. So first of all, it's not accurate to say Jesus is saying he is a mother hen. He's saying he's as a mother hen, like a mother hen. But even that, so where do you get from that analogy of Jesus comparing his relationship with humanity to that of a mother hen? Where do you get from that the leaps taken to say that Jesus is saying that human gender is a social construct? That's what he said. He said, because Jesus compares himself to a mother hen, gender is a construct. The logical leaps there, buddy. That's like, one does not lead to the other. A does not lead to B or C there. I'm not seeing it, okay? And by the way, that idea that gender is a social construct goes against all of the biblical teaching that explicitly argues against it. And you're going to counteract that. You're going to strike back at that by doing this. It doesn't even make any sense. Compare this, okay, compare that statement, oh, mother hen, therefore more than two genders. Compare that with the actual teaching of Genesis that says that God made man and woman in his image. Not that society made man and woman in their image. God made man and woman in their image. And then on the question of drag itself, oh, drag is holy. On the particular issue of a man dressing up as a woman, contrast his incredibly bad use of that verse with actually specific, explicit biblical teaching on the very issue of men dressing up as women. So we have from Deuteronomy 22:5, a woman must not put on men's clothing. A man must not wear woman's clothing. Anyone who does this is detestable in the sight of the Lord your God. The Bible's not vague on the drag issue, okay? It's actually pretty specifically labeled as detestable or an abomination in this verse, depending on what translation you use. Detestable or abomination to dress up as a woman, as a man. His comeback to that isn't even that we misunderstand the verse, because that's what you see a lot of progressive Christians say. They'll say, oh, this is a mistranslation, you're taking this out of context or whatever. He doesn't even try. He's that lazy. He instead just says, oh, well, Jesus made an analogy about a mother hen, so gender isn't real. Again, you're leaping a bit there, okay? You're stretching just a little bit there. And then the second blasphemous statement he says, and I quote, I even have heard it said that Jesus was and humanity is God in drag. So he says, I have even heard it said. So first of all, that's a blasphemous statement. Mankind is not God. He is not like God, not whatsoever. But regardless, your source is, and I quote, I have even heard it said. So you heard some random guy say this once, and you think that means God believes that wearing drag is holy. Source, I have heard it said. Source, some random guy who I heard say this one thing one time. It's so ridiculous. Like, sometimes with these people, you actually have to try. Sometimes I'll hear progressive Christians saying something that I actually have to, like, look into. They try to be clever. Not in this case at all. This guy's unbelievably lazy, and his entire argument sucks. His source is literally just, I've heard it said. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything that you've heard people say this. That's source. I've heard it said. Well, you know what? I've heard it said that you're wrong, okay? Who said? I heard people say it. I heard people say that you're wrong and that's blasphemous and you're a heretic. Hey, you can't come back at me. I heard people say that. I have heard it said, my friend. Unbelievable. And not even hard to debunk. That's just, again, one of the most poorly made progressive Christian TikToks I've ever seen. But in all seriousness, do pray for this man, pray for his soul, and also pray for the soul of his congregation. I can't imagine his congregation is really all that big, but he is leading people astray here with this not only incorrect, but just absolute lazy teaching. So pray that he accepts the true word of God into his heart and not this nonsense. Well, anyways, guys, that wraps up our stories for tonight. So we'll get over to super chats here. Let's see, we went for about 39 minutes, so we'll have 20 minutes now of Q&A and super chats. So as usual, if you want to support the show and you want your question, comment, etc. read and answered, send it in right now as a super chat. We got about 20 minutes here, so I probably will be able to get to everyone tonight, which is nice. So yeah, all right, let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's check this out here. We got Zeb Boykin sends a member chat. He says, I'm not gonna repeat that on YouTube, but the Bible does mention that. Okay, thank you very much for the member chat, Zeb. Burgundy Blue for $2. Thank you very much. Says this guy should get a medal for mental gymnastics. Yeah, exactly. The logical leaps that you have to do there. And like I said, you know, we've reacted in the past on this channel to people like God is Gray and that guy Brandon, etc., where they actually like try to present something that's believable and kind of like related. It wasn't even there. It wasn't there at all. Like I said, I think a non-Christian can watch that, and as so long as they're watching it fairly and honestly, can immediately see like everything that's wrong with what was said there. Like that doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I before I even consulted and looked at the things he was talking about, immediately I just watched it one time. I was like, that is so obviously wrong and disingenuous. Thank you very much for the $2, Burgundy Blue. We got Naf Uzja. I butchered that. Naf for $5. Thank you very much. Says, do you ever think we will have true conservative representation? Jim Jordan is the only one who is somewhat close, but he would never run. Are you talking about the presidential level or whatever? I mean, here's the thing about politics, okay? You're never going to get, especially the thing about like democratic representative government, you're never going to get everything you want, okay? But I do think that we are moving toward a point, and you even see this with a lot of the 2024 dialogue. Sure, you have Mike Pence still standing out here like it's the 1980s, but especially the discourse you see between Trump and DeSantis kind of going back and forth with each other on the issues. In perspective, and you might look at that, roll your eye, however you feel about that. In perspective, if you compare that to what the 2012 candidates were talking about in the Republican field, you can tell the Overton window has shifted quite a bit. And so I don't think we'll ever get to a point where we can truly look at our politicians and be proud of everything they do. I just don't think that's realistic. But I do think that we are shifting the Overton window in our party, and I think we are moving toward a point where things do get a little bit better in terms of that. So thank you for the $5, and you know, just keep pushing. I think it's going to start at the state level. Ron DeSantis, look at him as a candidate, right? Where was his legacy built? The state level, right? And that's the only reason people are discussing this on the federal level. And so I think that true conservative representation statewide first is possible. It'll take time. It's a lot of work. It is possible. And then once you have all these different governors around the country setting these precedents in state governments, then people will start to look at their congressional candidates, maybe demand better, then Senate, then maybe president. It's a long march. It's a long process, but I think, you know, starting from the bottom up is possible. Thank you for the $5. God bless you. Zeb Boykin for $2 says a millstone medal. Thank you for the $2, Zeb. And then Zeb for another $5 says, I definitely see Jim Jordan running for president. If not, he would have taken the speaker nomination. Thank you for the $5, Zeb. probably not in this cycle, but yeah, 2028, 2032, yeah, Jim Jordan definitely is probably a future candidate. Now, he is tied to Trump, so I don't think he wants to run against Trump at the moment, but it is true. I definitely think Jim Jordan is running for president sooner or later. It's happening. I would agree with you on that front. All right, let's see what else we got here in Super Chats. Nala Black for $5, thank you very much, says, I'm an atheist and I hate the way that the Alphabet Mafia has tried to co-opt the Bible. When I supported gay marriage, I didn't sign up for this. Thank you for the $5, Nala. But I will say on that front, that is the thing, is it not? Which is that, when you personally supported gay marriage, maybe you thought you weren't signing up for this, but again, we understand the slippery slope. That in many ways has always been the agenda of this movement. It was never just that they wanted marriage equality, quote unquote, assuming that's even a real thing. It has always been to upend and uproot all of the, I wouldn't even call them traditions, because it's beyond traditions, just uproot all of the sort of natural realities of human beings and of planet Earth. And so first you change marriage from man and a woman to anything, a subjective institution, and then you start coming for literally everything is upside down, inverted, and I guess not real, right? And conservatives sometimes say that like the left are moral relativists. This is what we say. I don't look at it that way. I think I've probably said this in the past, but I don't look at it that way anymore, because I don't think that the left are moral relativists. I don't think it's that they're trying to change true things to be subjective. I think they are very objective, actually. They're just objectively wrong and objectively evil, right? Because on a question like, let's just say, transgenderism, so we say that, like, gender's not a social construct, men are not women, etc. And this is the objective fact. The left takes that and says, no, actually, gender is whatever you want it to be, quote unquote. And then you might look at that and say, oh, the left is morally subjective. But are they really? Because if they were moral subjectivists, then they wouldn't care if you have a different opinion. But they obviously do care that you have a different opinion, right? When you present a different opinion, they say you are objectively wrong, you are objectively evil. And so I don't think that it's the matter of the left being like moral relativists or subjectivists. I think maybe they use the concept or the aesthetic, they wear it as a crown of moral subjectivity to shift us away from what was traditionally understood and just the truth, right? And so when something is held to be true and you're trying to make that untrue, of course, at first you're going to say, well, maybe it's a subjective matter. Maybe it's up for debate. But then eventually what happens, once you get people away from that, once you get people to convince, oh, well, it is a subjective matter, then what do you see them doing now? Now they're pushing it as an objective thing. Actually, transgenderism is real, and that's an objective fact. You can't question that, right? You can't question that. That is real. That is objectively true. That is the science, right? You know what I mean? That whole song and dance. Individualism. I think this is a similar thing, because individualism started out in the Enlightenment as a quote-unquote liberal concept. It was never about just liberating the individual. Once they liberated the individual, what came next? Leftism, socialism, Marxism, etc. Very, very collectivist things. It's just that they needed to push you away from the traditional collectives, quote unquote, right? So community, God, family, country. They liberated people, quote unquote, from that with individualism. And then once they broke people free of those chains, then they pushed this very objective moral agenda. That's the way I kind of see the whole left, random tangent, but that's the way I see the whole like left wing push to power here. Thank you for the $5. Dollar for dollar says, hour for dower imminent. Stop resisting Dao/Doll 2040. Real and true. I keep forgetting to say that. I'll try to remember next show to say that. Thank you for the dollar for dollar. God bless you. Thank you. All right, let's continue here. Runeski says, are you considering other super chat payment options like coffee or streaming on Odyssey? I am considering doing super chats somewhere else. I don't know if we necessarily need to do those. I mean, we could use something just like Streamlabs or Stream Elements or even like Cash App. But yeah, I think we should look into it. I've been very busy with the show. Because the thing about these super chats, guys, YouTube takes 30% of it. 30%, that's a lot. Like, I understand, you're going to take something. 30% of the super chats. So every night I make $100, for example, we take home 70. It's insane. It's an insane cut that's going to YouTube. So yeah, we will look into it. Probably just set up like Streamlabs or Stream Elements. I don't know. I'll look into it when we have the chance. Let's see here. Burgundy Blue for $10 says, Vince, the stream was great. Glad we didn't have any tech problems this time. Thank you for the $5 to $10. Sorry, Burgundy Blue. I too am very glad there were no technical problems at all whatsoever tonight. If modern liberalism is so negative, how is it able to take over the world / West? Can we mimic its success for ourselves? Well, it was able to take over the West and the world because mankind is fundamentally fallen and we are flawed beings. And so it's actually arguably very easy, in my opinion, for wrong ideas to take root among humanity. I actually think it's easier for wrong ideas to take root than right ideas, because if human beings are sinful, fallen, immoral, naturally, etc., like we're all fallen, screwed up beings, then it's actually in human nature, in my opinion, to embrace ideas that are more often wrong than right. Thank you very much for the $10. Can we mimic its success? Yes, because I think that over time, now I don't know what the timeline is here, but over time, like I said, liberalism is at war with reality and the truth. Eventually, it's only a matter of time before society implodes as a result. And so we'll see what happens there. I don't know how long it's going to take, but thank you very much for the $10. Burgundy Blue, appreciate it. God bless you. Like I said, time eventually will tell, and it will tell in our favor. Will we be alive to see the day that liberalism inevitably falls? Who knows? Thank you for the $10. Abby, dollar for dollars. Burgundy Blue, sorry. I'm reading the chat here from Abby. Abby for $20, huge super chat. Thank you very much. God bless you. Abby says, question, what kind of watch are you wearing? This is a $50,000 Rolex. No, just kidding. It's from Guess. It's from Guess. Okay, it's a decent watch, solid watch, not super high end, but that is one of the goals. That is one of the goals. So once I have decent money, well, I don't know. I guess it's like three things I want in life. Okay, three like material things. Like I'm like, okay, I want to like pursue to this in life. Okay, I want a cool car. Either Mustang, maybe a Corvette, if we really make it there. I would say properties, but I don't see that as like a material luxury, because that's actually like an investment. So cut that out. And then a Rolex, okay? So to my future children, when you watch this and you're making millions or whatever, okay? Dad doesn't need anything fancy. Dad doesn't need all this stuff, okay? Just cool car, nice watch. That's all. Everything else keep to you, okay? Don't try to retire me. If you become super successful, don't try to retire me. Don't do anything. Don't buy me a house. I don't need that, okay? Just buy me a Corvette and a Rolex. That's it. Okay, to my future very successful children. But yeah, this is a guess watch. Let's see here. Zeb Boykin for $5 says, history says gradually left / immoral, suddenly right / moral. It is true. Thank you for the $5, Zeb. Secret Cervix for $4.20. How did you? Somehow they sent in a super chat with like balloons. How did they do that? Is this a thing now? I'm confused. Look at the super chat. Is it because 420? Is it because it's their birthday? I'm very confused. I like the NLV version of the Bible. Any opinion? I'm not super familiar with that. I do ESV and NLT when I'm more confused. Celebrate the first super chat. Oh, so the first super chat you can send it with balloons. Well, I learned something new today. It was our first super chat. Okay, very epic, very cool. All right, we got 7 minutes left. It's 8:54, a little bit less, 6 minutes left. So last call. We're closing close out your tabs now. Last call for super chats here, and we'll call it a night at about 9 p.m. So send them in now, so that way we get to all of them. Okay. Try not to send them at the last minute, and then we're like, okay. So send them in now. Dollar for dollar says, for $2, says, don't need money, don't take fame, I need kofefe. It is so true. It is so true. A nice home, you don't need a house. Okay, well, no. Well, okay, what I mean is that in the future, if my kids are like really rich and they're trying to like spoil me, work that out with your mom, I guess. I don't know. Maybe she ends up caving and you know, gets us the house. But I don't care about that, okay? Just get dad a Rolex, he'll be happy. That's all you need. Okay? There's a reason everyone says retire your mom, not retire your dad. I don't need anything super fancy. Jonathan Fields for $5, thank you very much, says, thank you for the videos you put out. It really has helped me in life. Well, good to hear it. That's the number one thing we like to hear, okay? Not just that, you know, you left in entertainment. I appreciate it. It's good that it's helping you in life. I don't know what to say other than thank you. That's heartwarming to say. I appreciate you and what you are doing and have done. God bless you. God bless you too, Jonathan Fields. We love to see it. We love to see it. Should I start integrating more personal advice into the show? I mean, it is a political show. It's a news show, but you know, I've been seeing the popularity of like the red pill sphere and all that stuff. I don't know. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll do like 20 minutes of political, cultural stuff. And then here and there, work in some self-improvement stuff. I don't know. Bigot Patrol keeps spamming TND. I don't even know what that means. The only TND I know is a college football page called TND. So, Dollar for Dollar says, let us see your notes. I like threw them all on the ground this episode for some reason. I couldn't tell you why I did that. For some reason, I was just like throwing them. But so what I do is I actually write out an entire monologue, and then I just go off of it. I obviously don't look down and read it. The reason I write it all out is so that way I have like an organized idea of what I'm gonna say. Right? I articulate it in my head once, organize it, and then I just write it out like this. In like these bullet points, point 41, point 42, like this is, I don't know which one. Oh yeah, here. So this is like behind the scenes. This is emergency scene because it wasn't planned in the show. And I write it out and then I just glance at it and then, you know, sometimes go off of it, sometimes break it. But the main reason I write it out too beyond that is you can't see it in here. But I have cues for myself to change the different scenes, right? So if I'm playing B-roll or something, I have cues in the words. So that's what we do. All right, 2 minutes left here. Last final super chats. Burgundy Blue for $5. Thank you very much. Says Vince, who do you think is a bigger super chat simp for you? Me, Dollar for Dollar, Zeb, or somebody else? I love all you guys, Burgundy Blue. Why would I divide the fan base? Why would I do that? That's not necessary. Okay? I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate all the support. You guys send in different types of super chats. I love all you guys equally, okay? You're not making me divide the donors, okay? We love you all equally. We appreciate you all equally, okay? But Zeb Boykin for $20 makes the case for himself. He says, easy answer. Thank you for the $20, Zeb. Big donation. Well, he's making the case for himself right now. But again, I appreciate all you guys equally, okay? Every day is payday. It's so true. Thank you, Zeb, for the $20. Appreciate it. Why do you abuse your notes? Yeah, I do rip them up a lot. I just threw them all on the floor. Now I gotta pick them up. That was not very smart. But all right, guys, we're at like 58 minutes here. Okay, well, that seems like enough for tonight. We're about to hit the 1 hour mark. So everyone, thank you very much for tuning into the show tonight. Like I said, be sure to tune in tomorrow, okay? Because tomorrow the Trump indictment's probably going to be coming. It'll be a more eventful show. You know, it's funny. The first week I started the show, I don't know why, the news cycle has sucked. It's been boring. I've been scrambling to find news and things to talk about. I don't think that'll be the case tomorrow. Okay, so tune in tomorrow. Figure out the situation with us, and be sure to leave a like before you go. 109 likes. Let's get to 130, 140 likes. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, everyone have a very good night. God bless you. Alpha moves only, and Peace. Have a very good night, everyone. See you guys.